And now, for the thrilling conclusion of Loopy versus Flower. This time we flipped to Flower's perspective, and we're going to be watching with him as the home team. He is playing Slaanesh against Loopy's Greenskins. So let's take a look at Green Tide first. We've got a Goblin Great Shaman up on the Ragnarok Spider mount. Ages past, I heavily requested this to be added in a certain DLC, and certainly has been a great mount option for the diminutive little spellcaster lord. Yeah, he's got Vindictive Glare. Gork will fix it. The Bound, don't even try it. And of course, being a spider, he's got heavy armor and 500 weapon strength, 20 bonus versus large. In particular, being a giant armored monster against Slaanesh tends to be pretty good because of their general lack of anti-large. We've got goblins here as a massive front line, some goblin spears mixed in as well. Night Goblin Regiment of Renown, that's going to be the 8-peak loons with their spinning loons, of course. Broken Tusk Mob as well, and some Savage Orc Boar Boys in the back. And yeah, Rugblood's Armored Orcs crossbows, along with some more cavalry over here, Mangy Marauders, more Boar Boys of various types. As for Slaanesh, going quite aggressive here with this build. He's got Azazel up in the sky, Fiends and Seekers both on each flank, with some Hellstriders also supporting, Forsaken in the front line to blend through some goblins, got a couple devoted marauders as well, including the Princes of Perfection. So we'll watch these two players patiently try and position here. Loopy kind of rotating himself around, bringing his right side forward and sort of falling back with his left side. Yeah, right now Flower, fast forward a little bit through this positioning phase, is also kind of shifting his army, try and meet them head on. He could potentially try and just load up on one side here, but one thing is Flower is pretty significantly outnumbered here, more than 2-to-1 just purely based on model count. So that is something to consider. He's going to have to get in there and start rolling up units very quickly in order to try and gain some numbers advantage locally. Try and counteract the Green Tide's massive numbers advantage, but we're going to get the frontline combat kicking off here. Vindictive Glare lands, and we see the 8-peak loons there in the distance. Forsaken on the near side, chasing through. Gonna get on those goblins and start to mow them down. Yeah, the Forsaken here, of course, will absolutely smash goblins. Little slicing shards there. Wisely dodged by the Armored Orcs and the Goblin Great Shaman, but yeah, actually the Slaanesh forces are going to load up most of their mobility over on the one side here. The Boar Boys of Loopy sitting idle right now. He doesn't have a lot to manage, but we're going to get a critical cavalry engagement starting to play out here. Fortunately for Slaanesh, they did kind of just face charge Savage Orc and regular Boar Boys, which is not going to be the most efficient. They probably will win, but they're going to take quite a bit of damage in the process, which is really not great. Here, though, the Slaanesh units get a great engagement, doubling up, smashing those Orcs and those Goblins. I say doubling up, like quadrupling up in terms of the Fiend's presence and the Seekers and everything else. But a nice Gork will fix it, kind of controlling the movements of those units a little bit there, allows the Boars to switch sides as well, come to engage the Slaanesh units. We've got Rugblood's Armored Orcs firing in, so what initially seemed like a nice clean engagement for Slaanesh is really going to quickly turn into a brawl, which they are not necessarily super well equipped to handle. Greenskin's definitely a very brawly faction, but right now, it does look like Broken Tusk Mob. They're holding their leadership, if just barely for the time being. The Goblin Great Shaman also kind of avoiding too much of this pitched combat right now, kind of letting his units do the work that they need to. Meanwhile, on the front line, some Goblins trading decently well against some of the Devoted Marauders, but just through sheer weight of numbers, they've got more units to detach and maneuver over here, continue fighting. Yeah, the Armored Orcs still being well protected. Boar Boys getting through. We can see the Seekers very quickly running out of steam there. And even just Goblin Spears here, having so many unit models, as long as they can hold their leadership, will definitely really help against a very elite Slaanesh force like this. The Fiends, it's a super cost-inefficient trade to try and fight. the goblins if they have their leadership intact. So, yeah, the fiends there might have gone first around on the Goblin Great Shaman, but I'm not sure. Looks like they maybe pull away there. Might not have been a bad idea just to keep him bogged down. Maybe get Azazel up in the sky, charge him on over, and get a supported engagement. Instead, the Goblin Great Shaman pops Wah and is actually going to charge over here, get to its supporting cavalry, and help clean up this engagement. Get some good splash damage on some of the Hellstriders, Forsaken, and whatnot. Trying to go after Azazel as well, but his speed and slipperiness makes him able to maneuver up into the sky. Take a look at the wide view here. You can see that, yeah, Slaanesh force is mostly gone. A lot of their demonic units have already crumbled away. And it's going to be a relatively quick victory, it looks like, for Loopy. Who knows? Maybe Flower can pull out something here, but right now it's looking like Loopy is going to take the series in this pivotal game 3. Azazel trying his best to make something happen here. He does have some supporting Forsaken still lab. I don't know how they have their leadership intact, but they are just chewing through those goblins there. Here, the Princes of Perfection and Fiends are making a stand as well, but those cheap archers, the mangy marauders, of course, their armor piercing is kind of wasted here, but at the same time, they've got regiment around stats and leadership and can get some pretty good damage in. Very cheap, all things considered, and definitely putting in some work on these fiends. Looking like their leadership is about to drop here. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of to be expected. Both players, so at least Slaanesh here, having a very aggressive rush army. Sort of a combined arms, not fully combined arms Greenskins, more of like a counter rush slash straight rush, depending on what Slaanesh is going to try and do here. Not that Slaanesh really has a lot of ways to pull armies into a straight rush, but yeah, just with the volume here, makes a lot of sense having a high volume of heavy cavalry, try and win that mobility engagement, or at least contest well enough, and then yeah, I mean, the Goblin Great Shaman coming through the battle basically untouched. Ragnarok Spider on its own is decent enough. Not a world beater by any means, but especially when you put a caster on there, and Lore of Little Wah is probably one of the better, like, faction-specific lores. If I had to put something on it, it definitely would. Just, yeah, Gork will fix it so nice. Vindictive Glare is very cheap and efficient damage, as we saw there. It's used a number of times against Azazel. And, yeah, did a great job of limiting him. Fiends are going to come in here and get some value as well. But, yeah, the Seekers and the Fiends fairly well limited, as was Azazel. The Forsaken go crazy, blending through the front line. Like, almost 300 kills on one Forsaken. Yeah, still only 600 damage value. So, yeah, for Flower here, just getting swamped in the sea of green here of Loopy's build. Absolutely love it. This Horde build here. 104 kills on some Goblins also. Not too bad. 400 value on them. We got 500 value on this Goblin. Not too bad there. Very, very good. 600 value on one Spear Gobbo. Definitely not bad. Like 400, 300. Very cost-effective, all things considered. Goblins generally, because they're so cheap and so numerous, when they get buffs, they tend to be able to trade upwards very well into more valuable units. And we definitely see that being the case here. Ruglad's also contributing a respectable 1100 value there. And then, yeah, the cavalry, honestly, itself didn't end up doing a lot of the work. I mean, granted, some demonic instability is probably taking away some value here. But, like, raw value-wise, really only one pays for themselves. But just having this many bodies to throw into those mobility engagements, right? To then allow whatever other units to come in and really just spread the value around. But, yeah, even like I said before, with these supporting goblins, goblin spears, man, with having the cavalry to absorb some of the mass hits for them, and them being able to get those incredibly numerous and cost-effective little sticks into whatever targets they need to, ended up being quite effective here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Great series. Well played to both players. Loopy advances on. This is, of course, the Faction Master Tournament. I probably should have said that somewhere up front, but that's okay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Just subscribe and keep it right here for some more videos. You know, maybe even check one of my recommendations are down below and click on that. That would be a great help to me. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.